Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. My name is Joe and today I'm going to pick the best players for Game Week 6. Lots are wildcarding this week, so many of these picks are valid for wildcards too, not just for Game Week 6 but for future game weeks as well. And before we go on, just a reminder, do press that like button, does help us out. And do remember to subscribe, keep up to date with our latest videos and podcasts. Also do check out latest offers at fantasyfootballscout.co.uk to get access to our membership area where you get access to all the tools and gadgets to help you climb up your mini leagues. Okay, we're going to start off by having a look at the fixtures. So what we're dealing with here. So I've got a picture of Haaland and Gvardiol up because Man City have the best fixture. So it's a good week to free hit. It's a good week to wildcard. It's a good week just to make some transfers. But Man City should be targeting. So City are at home to Burnley, who have the worst expected goals conceded this season. There are also good fixtures for Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, Everton and Tottenham. So Man City are top. They are at home to Burnley. Nottingham Forest at home, a home fixture as well. At home to Sunderland. Bournemouth are face Leeds. So that's, potentially a pretty good fixture there. Everton against West Ham, that's a home game there. So the Bournemouth-Leeds game is away for Bournemouth there. But Everton at home to West Ham could be a good fixture. Tottenham at home to Wolves. So there's lots of good attacking sides with good home games. And then there's Brentford at home to Manchester United. So that could be quite good on either side for Manchester United and for Brentford assets as well. And then we've got, sadly, Aston Villa. My team, I've got rid of Aston Villa and I've gone for Man City because Man City are top here, and I think I'm going to want their assets more than I'm going to want Villa assets, who let me down time and time again. Chelsea at home to Brighton. That's quite intriguing. Palmer's going to be out for this one. He's out for somewhere between 3 and 6 weeks, I think I saw. And then Liverpool against Crystal Palace. That could be a tricky one. Ekitike is suspended for this one. Be wary of that. He took his shirt off to get a second yellow and therefore a red card in the League Cup, which means he is not valid for this game. But it could be good for Isak. So you imagine Isak would start in his place. He has been getting minutes, so he would be starting, I imagine. He could secure some more of his minutes there. Obviously, Gakpo can play these other players. They can move around with a false nine as well. But it certainly bumps up his minutes and those of Gakpo as well. And, of course, Salah, you would imagine, be there. So a lot of those were rested for at least partially or fully during the League Cup. Interesting set of teams. So for me personally, I'm not going to be wildcarding. I can make transfers for my team. I had 2 free transfers, so I'm looking at game week 8. So around about game week 8, I'll not only do a transfers target video, but I'll also try and do wildcard targets as well. So that will be from personal experience because I'll be probably wildcarding then. I may not though. So don't put that in your calendar yet. Who knows? Okay, so what I'll do is I'll have a look at the teams, look at the players of those teams who are going to be in my transfer targets. So let's have a look. Let's go straight in. Okay, so this is my team I've got. Now, I've constructed this using the FPL Planner tool, Fantasy Football Scouts membership area. It's on their app there. And what this does is it allows you to construct a team, and then you can look to see how it's going to go in the weeks to come. But for the purposes of this one, I use my own team. So I've got quite low transfer value there. So there are some other, perhaps more expensive players you could put in instead. So this is just the way I've done it. It's got an expected points of 63. That's huge. Usually a good team is getting 55 plus. You're looking like a really good score. If you can get over 60 on this gadget in the membership area, then you're doing very well. 62 is the most I've got, and the percentage it adds in terms of 100% is a perfect team according to the Rate My Team computer whose data's fed into this. I got 99%. That's the most I've had on these videos so far. I had a few 97s, 98s, 94s, but 99%. I don't know if you can get 100%. I have tried, even with players that I don't particularly want, that I think that the computer thinks are going to get more points. I've tried and tried, but this is possibly the best I'm going to get. Okay, so I've gone for a 3-5-2. Once again, I do think it's a good fixture for defenders and midfielders. Perhaps less so. There's less strikers I'm interested in as well. Haaland is in here. Spoiler for if you're listening to this, so you're not watching it. Haaland has a yellow flag at the moment, so I'll come to that shortly. But I'm hopeful he's going to be okay. So I'll go through the players. I'll name them all, and then I'll go through why I've got them in. So it's a 3-5-2. I've got Sells in goal, Gvardiol, Romero, Tarkowski in a back three. Across the midfield, Bruno Fernandes, Reinders, Ndiaye, Semenyo, and Xavi. And then up front, I've got Pedro and Haaland. And then at the back, on the bench rather, I've got Petrovic, Milenkovic, all the Viches, and Rodon and Thiago there at Brentford. So I'll go through them all one by one and explain why I picked them. Okay, so for the players, I've gone for Sells, the Nottingham Forest keeper. He's at home to Sunderland, which is the 5th worst attack and one of 6 sides to fail to achieve an expected goal ratio of at least 100 minutes. So that means they're not quite averaging an expected goal every match. So yes, I know Ange is in charge. I know he's all about attack, so there's a chance they could concede, but they're at home, and I think that the Sunderland attack is not as good as many other teams here. So I do think he's a good pick there. Obviously, I've got Petrovic, who I'll come to a bit later. If you don't like Sells, put Petrovic in, because Bournemouth have a good fixture against Leeds. Okay, looking at the defence, I've gone for Gvardiol. It's a home game against Burnley side, which is the 2nd worst attack. So they're the worst defensive side. They're the 2nd worst attack. Only Aston Villa are worse. So you would hope Aston Villa are going to get better, especially Villa fans. So you would imagine that Burnley will be pushed side to be the worst attack and defence. So I think a clean sheet could be locked in. Famous last words. Possibly DEFCON 2 as well. He's averaging 8.5 defensive contributions a game, which is very close to the magic number of 10. I'm just going to take a quick sip before my throat goes. Okay, so yeah, so I think there could be a couple of sets of points there. I don't think he's got much attacking threat these days, but you never know. Romero, another strong contender for a clean sheet. He's at home to Wolves. He can also get DEFCON, and he's got a goal in him as well. So he's averaging 8.6 a game for defensive contributions. Pretty good. Plus, he plays another shot-shy team in Wolves. They are the 4th worst attack so far in terms of XG. And, of course, he does have attacking returns so far. Under Frank, set pieces are key. And I think Romero and Van de Ven are both weapons at that. So you could be getting... Van de Ven got 14. And Romero's had some good hauls as well. So I think they're quite good. And then the third one, I'm fully DEFCON. I know there's a lot of debate at the moment about, is DEFCON ruining the games? Can certain players out? But it's certainly elevating certain players. I perhaps wouldn't have had Romero before in previous teams. Tarkowski is another player I might not have had before. He is getting a DEFCON in every game. He's getting those 2 points every game. He's averaging 12.2 defensive contributions a game, well over the 10 magic number that's needed for defenders. He plays a West Ham side that is capable of scoring. He's got Bowen. But it's the 8th worst attack, so not the worst, but the 8th worst. It's still in the sort of bottom half of the table. So making a clean sheet possible too. And it is at home. So I like them. I like those bunch of defenders. None of which are in my team. I've got Sells actually. Yeah, in cross midfield. So let's start with Bruno Fernandes. Is he worth 9 million? I think so. So I got him in 3 weeks ago. He's got 2 double-digit hauls in that time. So I like him. So far, no other player has created more than his 15 chances so far this season. And he plays a Brentford side that has conceded 10 goals so far, which is the 3rd worst in the league by that metric of actual real goals, not expected goals, actual real goals. So yeah, I think he's a very strong asset here. He does play Sunderland again. He does play Sunderland very soon. So just looking at the fixtures there for wildcarders, I did a video with FPL General earlier in the week, and he's famously not going with Salah on Haaland. But for him, Bruno Fernandes is a really good captaincy shout for so many weeks. So Manchester United away to Brentford, it's a good call. At home to Sunderland, brilliant. Another chance you could captain him. if you want to captain elsewhere, obviously the likes of Haaland, go. It's still worth getting in. I mean, I'm certainly going to keep him, but for a little while. But then it gets a little tougher. There's a Liverpool game. You never know. Brighton at home could be good. Nottingham Forest away. These fixtures are okay, I think. The next two are particularly good, and that Sunderland game's really good for game week 7 as well. So one for wildcarders, as well as those just looking for this week there. So Reinders is the next player I mentioned. He finally got another haul last week after promising to return most weeks. He looks an ever-present in the team with 2 assists and a goal already, just getting the minutes, racking them up. He plays a Burnley side that I said at the beginning, the worst team in terms of expected goals conceded in the league. It looks a no-brainer to get him in. I bet a lot of people, I wish I'd got him in last week, even for a hit, because if I'd have got him and perhaps Haaland in, that would have been very good, because they both did very well last week when they weren't expected to. Next player, Ndiaye. There is an embarrassment of riches in Everton's attack. And I haven't said that since I had Fellaini and Tim Cahill in my FPL side many years ago. And Ndiaye is the goals man. He's got 2 already this season. Dewsbury Hall has 2 attacking returns, not to be sniffed at. Grealish has 4 assists. So take your pick of which ones. Dewsbury Hall is the cheaper one. Grealish and Ndiaye are going to cost you, nearly 7 million, more than 6.5. They're all good, really. Meanwhile, Everton play a West Ham side, which is actually the 3rd worst defence in terms of expected goals conceded, and in real life is the worst, conceding 13 so far. Could this be Potter's final game for West Ham and for David Moyes' former club, West Ham? So yeah, it's the Moyes derby, and it could be Potter's last game if they lose this game, which I think they could do, because there's so many good attacking players there. If you don't like Ndiaye, get Grealish. If you can't afford either of them, and you like Dewsbury Hall, get him in. Although be warned, Dewsbury Hall has 4 yellows. He just needs 1 more for a ban. And also Grealish, Gameweek 8, can't play against Man City, his parent club. Semenyo's next player I mentioned. He's an ever-present now. I can't see any reason for these videos each week for transfer targets to drop him. He's got penalties, goals, assists from open play, and last week DEFCON 2, and obviously bonus comes. He's already arguably the player of the season. Obviously, it's very early days and it might fall off, but he's looking a contender there as an FPL player of the season because of the value of him as well. He takes on a Leeds side that is a little meaner than most promoted sides in terms of defence. They've conceded 7 so far, but I think the Bournemouth man can still prosper here. And he needs to give me a good reason not to include him, because otherwise he's going to be here every week. I've gone for Xavi Simons at Spurs, home to Wolves. I wanted a Spurs attacker there. So he missed out last time with the rotation. So I think maybe that was hopefully that rest for him there in the league, and he'll play for this one. And I put him in there for set piece threat really against Wolves. So he could be rested, and you could go for Kudus as well, or instead of him. But if you're a bit squeamish about his minutes. But Wolves, meanwhile, have conceded 21 shots from set pieces. That's amongst the worst in the league. So I do like that. And obviously that's why I've got Romero there. So I like that Spurs double up. The weapons of Romero and Van de Ven, the set piece threat or the crossing of Kudus, set piece Xavi as well. So I like that. Lots of assist potential there. Moving on to the forwards, Haaland. So have a look at the video I did with Tom Freeman. His team reveal one on why why Haaland is not only a good option, but arguably the best triple captaincy option this side of New Year. He has the best expected goals of any player. In fact, he's double his goal involvement rather, but it's mainly goals for him. In fact, he's double as good as any other attacker. Something like every expected goal involvement expected goal every 60 minutes. Next nearest is something like 120. So keep an eye out for Pep's presser though, as he's nursing a back problem. So he was substituted around the 74th minute mark with complaining of a back problem and fatigue. That's going to keep him out of the league game. But should see him play against Burnley, I would imagine. Pep Guardiola was saying that that there was the time he was talking about his back problem. There had been no training on the day. Then there was training, but he hadn't seen anyone in training, so he couldn't comment there. I would be very surprised because they've come away with a draw. They would need him, and I think he's going to get a rest. I think a lot of the Man City players are going to get a rest in the League Cup this week. So I'm recording this on Wednesday lunchtime ish. So that's before the Man City game. So you'll all know the lineups and things. But as I'm recording, it looks like there's going to be heavy rotation there, and Haaland and others will miss out there. Okay, and the next one is João Pedro. My team Brighton's former striker, now at Chelsea, is doing really well there. So in this game, he's at home. There's no Palmer, so he could be on penalties. Enzo Fernandez took the last one, but it's still a bit up in the air whether João Pedro could take them. He is a very good penalty taker, so we're not sure there, but that could be the case. I think in this game he's either going to see red or he's going to score a hat-trick. So either way, Brighton have failed to keep a single clean sheet this season, and Pedro, meanwhile, has 5 attacking returns. There we go. I think he'll get something of this game. On the bench, so if you don't fancy any of those players, here's some other options you could go for, and one of which actually you probably wouldn't go for, but it's just there for money. So I can afford the others. So I've gone for Petrovic there. He's actually quite cheap. So if you don't fancy sales, go for Petrovic. He plays Leeds side. That is the 3rd worst attack this season, mustering just 4 goals. Milenkovic, he's playing. He could. If you're if you're not playing cells, but you still want to tap into that plum game against Sunderland at home, and you go for Petrovic instead of cells, then get Milenkovic in your defence if you're wildcarding, for example. I probably wouldn't go for a Nottingham Forest player if I was wildcarding, because their fixtures aren't so good after this. This is good for free hits, so this is a free hit sort of pick there. And as a reminder, Sunderland are the 5th worst attack. Road on here. So this one's immaterial. Just take your pick of the 4 million ones. I just happen to be already in my side. I think he'll concede, but I think he could get DEFCON against an attacking Bournemouth side. So there's no, hopefully I wouldn't have to go down here if this was a free hit side for me. And last player of the list, arguably should be first sub really, is Thiago. So it's another sort of 3-5-2 week for me with the fixtures. I think Brentford's Thiago, I think, is probably the best of the 3rd striker options this week. So he's got 2 goals already. He's at home and he faces a Manchester United side that's conceded 8 and has no clean sheets. So I think he's a very strong option here. And all of this, my team value is 99.9, I think. And I've got 0.2 in the bank with this version I did on the planner. So it should be easily affordable. So this team is a 99.7 million team, and it should be easily affordable for anyone. There's lots of people with far better team value than me. They haven't kept hold of Villa players for way too long. Just to look at the long-term fixtures before I go, because there are a lot of wildcards this week as well, and so that would sort of count out for wildcard as sort of Nottingham Forest assets, I think, because Nottingham Forest fixture, they've got the Sunderland at home, then they've got Newcastle, Chelsea, Bournemouth and Manchester United. I don't like them at all. In terms of the fixture ticker, from now, if you're wildcarding now, for the next sort of 5 game weeks or so, actually Wolves could be one to target. They do have Tottenham, then they've got Brighton at home, Sunderland, Burnley at home and Fulham. That could be good for Strand Larsen. It could be good for one of their defenders, one of their cheap defenders perhaps, on the bench. Tottenham themselves, their good fixture run continues. They've got Wolves, Leeds, Aston Villa, Everton, Chelsea. So the likes of Romero, Van der Ven, Xavi, Kudus, they're all very good options here. Leeds as well, that's why I put Rodon in as well, really. Got Bournemouth, Tottenham, Burnley, West Ham and Brighton. It's an okay bunch of fixtures, really. It's 3rd on the fixture ticker in terms of difficulty, so I think you can still get Leeds assets there sort of on the periphery of your team. Arsenal have got Newcastle. There's no Arsenal in this team. So if you're wildcarding, get Arsenal, basically. Because after Newcastle, which is tough, Newcastle are a really tough side, and it's away for Arsenal. Arsenal then have West Ham at home, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Burnley. Arteta has praised, as he always does, Saka, who returned off the bench last game. He was saying that he looked good, he wants minutes, and he'll get them. And he sort of said gradually, I think, which indicates he might not get the full 90 against Newcastle, but Gameweek 7 should look good. Madueke is timed quite nicely. I mean, not nicely for Madueke, but sadly he's got an injury, so that should give Saka some more minutes there. And I think a lot of people are going off Gyökeres as well. Yes, he's on penalties, but he's getting subbed off. He's not looking like, an absolute top striker, and he's certainly not looking a better player than Saka. So I think I personally would prefer to Saka, and I think if you're wildcarding this week, I would get Saka into this as well. Brighton as well, they do have that Chelsea game. Their fixtures are pretty good actually. They've got Wolves, Newcastle, they do well against Newcastle traditionally. Manchester United do well against them traditionally. They've got home against Leeds. So I think you can go for a Minto or Matoma on this wild card, and some of their defenders like Dunk and Van Heck, they're starting to get DEFCON points as well, which is quite good. Everton are still really good. They're valid here for the free hit and also a wild card, because they got obviously West Ham this week, but then they got Crystal Palace. Do have Man City, but they have Tottenham and Sunderland. So these are still pretty good fixtures. Really, it's Fulham at the bottom of the fixture ticker coming up, so that sort of puts me off Anderson if I was wildcarding now, although he is great for DEFCON. And he is against Aston Villa this time around, who are just awful. I know. I think on the video I did with Tom Freeman, who's a Villa fan, he was saying he couldn't see Villa scoring a hat-trick in this one. I can't even see Villa scoring at the moment. So pretty poor. Crystal Palace as well. Their fixtures sort of change a bit. They've got Liverpool, Everton, Bournemouth are okay, but then they've got Arsenal, Brentford okay. So it's a bit mixed really there. And as I said, I mentioned Manchester United earlier. I do think structure-wise, if you're wildcarding, Haaland and then two good midfielders. So possibly Haaland, Salah and Bruno Fernandes, or Bruno Fernandes and Saka, for example. But just so that you could got the option to get, if you don't have one of Bruno Fernandes, Saka or Salah, you've got the option to bring one of them in there. So when the fixtures change. So for example, in my team, I've got Salah this week. I'm probably going to move him to Saka next week because I don't like Salah against Chelsea as much as I like Saka against West Ham, and just things like that really. So I think structure-wise, have a think of that. Don't go too cheap in midfield. Make sure you've got the options there. And that's why I quite like Haaland there. So you sort of got that place there. But just think about that structure-wise. So I hope that's helped. It's obviously all for Game Week 6, but I wanted to mention that I've had a lot of people on social media ask me about wildcard picks as well this week. So I hope that's given you some food for thought. Good luck with the game week, whichever team you choose. Take care. See you soon.